it's Shell from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. Today's day 11 in the 2024 Countdown to Christmas series with Marie from Marie's Vermont Creations. Our technique for today is ink smushing with acetate, but we are going to be using the scrap piece of paper that I have from Joann's. It was a big paper pack and it has a coating on top of it, so it gives the same effect as acetate where it doesn't absorb the ink, it sits on top, so it makes this great for this technique. We're going to be using distress ink and not oxide because I didn't want that oxidation look. The colors we're going to use are Abandoned Coral, Festive Berries, and Picked Raspberry at first. I added them to that paper from Joann's, that scrap paper, put some water on top of it, and then ran a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch watercolor cardstock through it and pounced it. Put it to the side to dry for a minute, wiped off that scrap piece of paper, added my colors of green and green blue, which were pine needles, evergreen bough, and peacock feathers. Put that to the side, and then I'm going to use my Wagner heat tool on level 1 to dry that background. You could let it air dry, but I am impatient and I wanted to dry it as quickly as possible so that I could get on to doing this next layer. Added the water to the colors that I had already placed down, and then I'm just pouncing my card stock over top of those colors. To be honest, when I was looking at this, I'm like, it looks like a hot mess. I didn't really like it. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. So we're actually going to create a second piece, but I end up really liking the way that it comes out after it was dry, and I just kind of put it to the side. So if you are working on something and you're like, I hate it, I don't know, or I don't know if I like it, put it to the side and come back to it. So that's what I did. We're going to start off and we're going to be using colors of blue and green. There's going to be 8 for this one. And because they all work together, whereas red and green would cause mud, you can do all of these ones in the same swipe. With red and green, you couldn't. If they were anywhere near each other, they would create like a brown muddy color. So for this one, we're going to use cracked pistachio, pine needles, evergreen bough, peacock feathers, blueprint sketch, chipped sapphire, mermaid lagoon, and salty ocean. I'm going to be doing the same thing, put them all onto the paper, sprayed water down, and then I'm just swiping and pouncing the piece of watercolor cardstock down onto that. We are then going to dry this off and we are going to do multiple layers. So while you're watching me do the multiple layers, I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about the series. If you're new, welcome. If you are coming back, welcome back. If you have not checked out the intro video, the link to the video is in the more information section. It'll give you an overview of the series, the giveaways that we're going to do, and what you need to do to be entered in that. So make sure you check out that video if you haven't. There's also going to be a link to Marie's channel, as well as a link to the playlist for our series. So this is the second year we've done this series together. She did one day of my series 3 years ago. And then I also have in my playlist prior series. I've been doing it for a couple years before I asked Marie to do one day and then the series with me. So it has been, so I do have a bunch of videos up there with some inspiration. So hopefully by the end of this, you will have 100 videos with 50 different techniques from crafters that have 2 completely different styles. Hopefully it'll give you lots of inspiration for the card making season. And we are really enjoying this. Thank you guys all for your comments. We love seeing them. It sounds like you guys are enjoying this, and we really are having a great time doing this series. It's something that I look forward to every year. And this year, with everything that I have going on, Marie asked me if I still really wanted to do it. And I was like, you know what? I really do love doing this series. And I'm squeezing in card making time whenever I possibly can because I go to school 2 nights a week and then working and traveling. It's a lot, but I'm trying to be better about my schedule and making sure that I get these videos done. So unfortunately, most of my videos are being done at the last second. Voiceovers are being done in the closet because the cats are running around and making all kinds of noise all over the place. But I am getting them done and up to you guys, and I hope that you guys are enjoying this series as much as we are. All right, so back to the card. I am putting on one of the, I think, final layers of this. I did do a lot of layers with layering this up because it didn't look right to me. It didn't look finished, which is one of the great things about this technique is you can keep adding layers until you like how it turns out. So I brought back that first piece of watercolor that we did, and I decided if I used a background die and cut it out, it would probably look much better, and it did. I love the way this one turned out, actually. So this is a honeybee cover plate snowflake. I think it's called snowflake cover plate. And I ran that through my die cutting machine. And then there's also a pierced one. So I went ahead and added that on top of it. So there's detail on it. I was poking out the other pieces. I'm going to lay that to the side. And then I'm going to use a 3D embossing snowflake folder from Honeybee Stamps. I ran that through, and the impression is just amazing. It has a really, really great raised image. So I'm using some Sweet Tooth pigment ink from MFT with a dauber and running it over the top of all the snowflakes because I want it embossed. Since this is pigment ink, it will stay wet longer than normal ink. So kind of like an embossing ink. Just ran it over top of that. I was just doing the white at first because I thought I wanted to just make the snowflakes pop a little bit more. I thought that they were still, even though that there was so much dimension on it, it looked a little set back. But we are going to be doing some embossing. So this is really, really old embossing powder. This is white sparkly, and it just has, in person, it has just the best shine. It did stick to some of the background, but that doesn't matter because I just love the sparkle and shine that it gives. I heated my Wagner heat tool off to the side. I put it on level 2, and then we're going to heat up the entire background so that embossing powder melts into it. I did have to knock off some of the excess that was just kind of in the debossed areas, and there wasn't much, so most of it did just stick to that. I think some of that distress oxide or distress ink might have still been a little bit wet too, even though I had been drying it. So we're going to go ahead and heat the entire thing. It does take a little while to make sure everything is heated up, and you can wait till it cools down and then run your hand over it and knock any excess powder off of there. So I'm trying to show you the shine, but really in person it is super, super shiny. You really can't tell on camera. Then I was trying to decide what kind of card base I wanted to put it on. I decided on just some plain black cardstock. I'm scoring at 4 1/4, so each card base measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4 to make an A2 size card. And then we're going to be using the Barely Arts glue to attach these pieces together. This one is super intricate, so I do go around all the edges and then on the inside pieces just to make sure that everything was attached to the card base. This did take a little while because there are so many intricate pieces. But one thing I did notice is that I did not take out all of the fallout pieces. It did cut through, the die cut through pretty well, but some of the pieces just are so teeny tiny, the pieces that are supposed to fall out, and they just didn't. So I actually did go back in and poke out some of those pieces. I did cut that off because I didn't think you guys needed to see that, but it definitely was more intricate than I had anticipated. I was taking pieces out for a really long time. So you'll see here that I'm taking out, I guess I didn't take it out. I'm poking out the middle pieces of that snowflake, and I knew there was one more. I actually didn't see the snowflake until I turned that around, but there was the second piece that I went ahead and poked out. I did see that. And then I got some glue on the back because that's just me. I'm a messy crafter. And I'm making sure that all of the pieces are attached. And I just love the way those colors pop off of that black background. A couple of the pieces didn't fall off the back of it, and then when I went to press it down, they kind of fell back into place. So I was just removing them, again, making sure every piece was put down, and then we're going to put glue on the back of this snowflake piece and attach it to the second card base that we made. So those are the cards for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. Make sure that you check out the links in the more information section, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video. Bye!